Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Veterans Florida Virtual Expo presented by Bank of America. I'm Amy Entris, and I'm the Entrepreneurship Development Manager and Agriculture Program Manager at Veterans Florida, and I'm also a Navy veteran. So today we're joined by a very special guest, Natacha Delince, who is going to share some of her entrepreneurial journey with us today. So hello, Natacha, and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Absolutely. So to begin today, would you please just briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your background?
First off, I want to say thank you, Amy and Veterans Florida, for allowing me the opportunity to share my story. My name is Dr. Natacha Delince. I'm the CEO and founder of La Mercy Healthcare. I am an Army veteran. I served almost 8 years in the military. I did serve 2 tours in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. After military service, not really having a plan, I decided that I did want to work with people in healthcare. I became a certified nursing assistant at first. I went on and continued my education and got my master's in healthcare administration, and I became licensed as a nursing home administrator. I've been working in long-term care now since 2012. And I've met some incredible people through the realm of long-term care, which has led me to decide to do some of the things that I'm doing today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you have done since your military service is absolutely an amazing accomplishment, and the services you provided are incredible to the veteran community. So just would you tell us a little bit more about how you became interested in this?
Okay. La Mercy Healthcare, I like to describe as a small healthcare hub within the long-term home and community-based services. We serve those who are elderly and we serve those who are disabled. I currently have, I should say, I'm currently licensed as a adult family care home here in Ruskin, Florida. I am licensed by the state of Florida to take care up to 5 elderly and or disabled persons in my home. I like to describe us as a family care alternative to nursing homes because we can provide some of the same services, but in a different setting, in a more intimate and private setting. Why I became interested in this is my mother, towards the end of my military service, got sick with terminal brain cancer. And it was just a whirlwind for us, having to figure out how to take care of her, where she's going to go, who's going to be responsible for her care, all those kind of things. And it ended up being me, that I was the primary caretaker for my mom. She did end up in a nursing home. And at the time, from a family member's perspective, you know, it was just a really hard time to deal with. And of course, you know, those people who were in the nursing home, the caretakers tried to do the best to take care of mom, but they didn't do a good job at educating me as a family member on other options instead of her having to be in the nursing home. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Not only am I able to provide an alternative to nursing home care, but I feel that I also have a platform to be able to educate the community on what other solutions and alternatives there are to long-term care. Nursing homes aren't the end all be all. Of course, nursing homes serve their purpose, you know, with regard to the level of care that someone needs, but there are other steps that can come before the nursing home. And this is why I mainly do what I do, because even if somebody does not come to my home or get their services directly from me, I want to be able to educate them and let them know that there are group homes out there, smaller, more intimate environments that can provide some of the same care as nursing homes. It's just a matter of getting the word out and educating the community on that.
Yes, yes. What an amazing inspiration to have that become part of your story. So let's go back. So you mentioned that you're an alternative to a nursing care facility. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that means? And is this exclusively for veterans and their family members?
Okay. So, what I like to say is an alternative is another choice that you have to nursing home care. Of course, people do need that level of service, absolutely. If someone needs 24-hour nursing care where they have to be given their medications, they might be immobile and need constant supervision from a nurse, then yes, nursing home level of care is appropriate. Um, However, there are other alternatives before having to go to the nursing home. For instance, in my setting in particular are for those people who are not necessarily safe to live at home. They may start becoming forgetful. They may need medication reminders and cues. They may need assistance with getting dressed or bathing. They're just in a situation where they can no longer live safely at home by themselves. They may not be able to cook for themselves anymore. Those kind of things. These are referred to activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, taking your medications, grooming, those kind of things. Um, but if they become more ill and then require 24-hour nursing, which my environment doesn't provide 24-hour nursing care. If they need that 24-hour nursing care, then they may be appropriate for nursing homes. The other piece that I like to add is my customer is not necessarily just the elderly and disabled. My customer also involves those people who take care of a loved one who cannot take care of themselves anymore, and to help get to the point, and to help with burnout or preventing getting to that point, they may need someone like myself where they know that their loved one is in an environment that is safe, that they're being taken care of, and that caretaker or loved one can actually live their lives. Those are my customers as well. Now, my organization is not strictly for veterans. I'm open to the community so long as they fit the criteria that allows them to be in my home. Again, they can't live safely. They need assistance with their activities of daily living, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say it's more than just an alternative to a nursing home. It's support in a loving, caring way to those who need it or at a time of need, and it also helps family members too who need that
Yes.
extra support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's an incredible service that you provide, Natasha. So,
and again, I think my main goal, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Again, and it's not just me and my organization being able to provide the service, it's about the education piece. Because I didn't know that there were alternatives to going to the nursing home. When my mom was in the hospital, working with the case manager and social worker there, it was like, okay, this is what it is. Mom's being transferred to a nursing home. And even when I got to the nursing home, there wasn't someone who sat down with us and said, your mom is here, but here are some other things that you could probably look into, so that you can make an informed and educated decision about your mom's care. Because at the time, my mom was not even able to make her own decisions. So for me, it's saying, hey, these are some solutions that you have, make sure that you go and visit certain environments before you place a loved one there so that you can make an informed decision. Here's a list of questions that you should ask. Make sure you have a good rapport with management or the homeowner or whomever it is in the environment that you might want to be taking mom or dad to, or your loved one. Is the education pieces there? Even for yourself, for myself, how am I going to plan my future so that I can make the decisions now and to relieve the burden off of my family members when that time comes? I mean, it's really, the education piece is really, really big.
Mm-hmm. Well, you make it sound like it was smooth sailing the way you discussed the benefits, and the what you have done, like I said before, is incredible. So But there have got to be some challenges associated with having an organization and taking on such a major endeavor. So would you discuss briefly some of the challenges that you've experienced and how you've embraced those and how you've worked through them?
Oh, absolutely. Some of the challenges in terms of, um, trying to start and grow my business is I'm a solo entrepreneur. And so I've had no partners, I've had no special investors up to this point or anything. And, trying to take on an endeavor as a solo entrepreneur is very hard. And it was very, very challenging. I've had to learn some very, very hard lessons on my own that I feel that had I reached out to more people, it wouldn't have been so difficult. I've had so many of those moments where I'm like, oh, I just wish I knew that. My life would be so much easier had I known that. But definitely one of the challenges I feel was definitely being a solo entrepreneur. A second challenge that I had was definitely COVID. Getting my home licensed was a process. Having to submit applications, having to go through several inspections. If there was something wrong with my application or my inspection, I had to get that corrected. And then my license, finally for my home, I got licensed in January of 2020. And then I was in the process of, trying to contact different insurances that I may contract with and Medicaid. And I did become a Medicaid provider in February of 2020. And I think we're all familiar with the timeline of COVID, which things really started to get shut down around March of 2020. So that was a humongous, humongous challenge for me because as a licensed facility, the governor put out several, emergency orders with regard to visitation and just things related to infection control. So it just really put a damper on my, and I was a startup. So it was just, everything just came to a halt and a standstill. But I'm happy now that, it's been so much time has passed. We have a vaccine now. I think we know a lot more about COVID, and I'm really just looking forward to picking up where I left off. And that's where I'm at, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, we have another panel that we're offering at the expo called Surviving and Thriving during and after the pandemic. So you definitely have some great lessons learned, if you will, from navigating this last year plus, in really like unknown territory, So yeah,
Yes.
so and you've made it, and you're picking back up, and you've got such a great attitude. Would you share with us some more of those lessons learned that you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, you cannot do everything on your own. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, Again, I think networking is definitely something that if anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur, they definitely have to get over any fear, if that fear is there, any fear of networking or sharing your ideas with other people. Don't be afraid to getting constructive criticisms because we don't know everything. And it's important for us to be able to bounce ideas off of others. I think it's important for us to surround ourselves by positive and like-minded people, which I have been able to do. And I think I'm, getting better at building relationships and things like that. And again, managing some of those challenges with the COVID, it was just really a waiting game. And now that the governor has really opened up, or I shouldn't say opened up, but lifted some of the restrictions, based on the CDC guidelines and, those kind of things, I'm really, really looking forward to picking up where I left off and picking up where I left off with a better appreciation for everything. Because with COVID, we were locked down. I know many of us were isolated, and I just have a better appreciation for everything that I have now, the relationships that I have. And so I'm just really looking forward to being able to provide a goodwill to my community, definitely.
So speaking of that, what are your next steps?
Well, currently my next steps are to gear up on my marketing efforts. Definitely now that there are more in-person meetings, I've actually gone to a couple of in-person meetings and try to network within my industry, getting to meet more people, definitely just hoping to be able to speak with placement agencies, let them know that I'm opening up, so that they can start sending referrals and things like that. I've gotten a couple of calls. Actually, calls have been increasing with regard to case managers from certain hospitals calling. And so I'm really excited about that. So mainly my next step is the marketing piece and actually, starting to get people into my home.
So if someone is interested in learning more about your facility and the process, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, definitely we have a website. It's lamercyhealthcare.com. We do have a contact form on there, and anyone can just navigate through the website. It has a lot of information on long-term care options. It talks about what I do. It talks about some of the services that is provided in my setting. There's a contact form as well, and they can reach me through there, definitely.
Okay, awesome, great, thank you. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to get more into the personal side of your story, although that was very personal, don't get me wrong. But I appreciate you sharing those details with us. But let's talk a little bit more about Natasha. So
Okay.
what do you enjoy about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, yes. What I enjoy about being an entrepreneur is knowing that there is a problem out there that I can absolutely solve. Again, my group home and my setting is not for everyone, depending upon the level of care that that person needs. However, there are people who need my service. That's definitely one thing that I enjoy, is knowing that I can solve a problem. Two, is knowing that I have the ability to change, how do I say it, to change someone's life. Because even if I'm not able to provide a service to a person, I have the ability to educate them on their options. And I think that is where a lot of times we're lacking. They always say hindsight is 2020. I wish I knew this, I wish I knew that. But if I have the ability to provide you with, hey, these are your long-term care options, these are the types of facilities or environments that fall under long-term care, I may be able to deter somebody from going into a long-term care facility, or may not need to go to a long-term care facility, i.e. nursing home, um, so that they're in a more intimate environment, I guess, is what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say. And then the last piece with that is just personal satisfaction, knowing that I can make a difference. Um, I think definitely the goodwill that I'm able to provide to my community definitely brings me a level of personal satisfaction.
Mhm. And we can see it too, and everything that you do. And yes, you're always smiling when I see you. So
Yeah,
it's
thank
really
you.
we can really tell that this is
Yeah.
your passion, and you've really
Yes.
embraced it. So with that being said, what is some advice that you can offer to our aspiring entrepreneurs?
Definitely know when to ask for help. Um, Honestly, you cannot do it by yourself. Surround yourself by positive and like-minded people, people who will be your cheerleader, um, and who will give you constructive criticism, who will allow you to share all of your ideas and kind of say, hey, this may or may not work. This is my perspective, that kind of thing. Constructive criticism is always key. Um, Definitely what I want to say to anybody who's an inspiring entrepreneur is know and learn self-care. It's not easy, it's stressful, you're going to get no's, you're going to fail at certain steps. In fact, one of the things I definitely learned is expect to fail at certain things. because nothing ever goes however prepared and planned you think you are. It never ever always happens the way you think it will. So always be prepared for any disappointments, and that's through the self-care, taking care of yourself physically, taking care of yourself mentally, finding your out, whether it's yoga or painting or music. Self-care is definitely important.
That's really great advice.
Mhm.
So in conclusion today, I want to give you the opportunity to share a good story. We like to call them sea stories in the Navy, but if you have one, we would really love to hear it. So what do you have for us, Natacha?
The only one that I have whenever someone asks me that question is when I was deployed and we were heading to Baghdad, and you always knew where Baghdad was because it was like lit up. You always knew. And we were in our convoy and we were heading to Baghdad. And if you looked out in the horizon, as we're going forward, there were dogs that were going behind, like the opposite direction. And so I just like to tell people, like, just to see that scene where we're heading towards the danger, not knowing, not knowing what lied ahead. It was very surreal to see animals going the opposite direction. So that's my story.
Yes, it almost, like, I could see you recall that story when
Yeah.
you looked away, and I can visualize that as well. And a lot of us on here are animal lovers, so
Mhm.
yeah. So when we see something like that, it definitely forces us to question why.
Yeah.
So
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
yes. So, well, Natasha, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your personal story with us. And if there's anything that our audience would like to know about Natasha's her entrepreneurial journey, or more about her company, her business, please do get in touch with us or get in touch with her. Visit her website. Once again, Natasha, what is your website address?
It is lamercyhealthcare.com.
Okay, lamercyhealthcare.com. All right, Natasha, thanks again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.